Hey everybody, welcome back to Shorty on the Fly. It's been a while since we've been together, but we're back. So today's offering is a March Brown Parachute Emerger. This is a beefy pattern for a big fly, and this is my favorite, most effective pattern I've found for fishing that hatch. So let's go ahead and get started. This is on a big hook. This is a size 10 curved nymph hook. Just kind of seems to look right out there on the water. And for my thread today, I'm using my trusty old Olive 6.0 Danville, and we're going to go ahead and get that started right behind the eye. And I'm going to run this about halfway back to where the point of the hook is. Okay, and then we're going to go halfway back up, and that's where we're going to put our post in. Okay, and for my post today, I'm using Parapost wing in light gray. You can use whatever you have. You can use McFlylon or gray poly yarn, or whatever. They all work. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this in at that point, and I'm going to run this back a pretty significant way because I want the tail end to kind of help to form the abdomen of the fly. So we're running that back a pretty good way, and then I'll show you the rest of it when we get there. Trim away, and then go ahead and cover up the butts, and then run your thread back up to in front of the post. Now we're going to lift that post up and start making wraps underneath to stand it up right up against the material. Will help stand it up straight up in the air like that. Now this is important. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to take some wraps up the post to make it a better landing spot for my hackle later on, and I'm going to run that up about the same distance as we have from the post to the eye. That's what we're looking for, and I'm hanging on to the top of the material as I go so that it doesn't try to wiggle away from me. Okay, and I've got my bobbin inverted to almost parallel to the hook. That looks pretty good from there to there. Now we're going to come back down, and at this point I'm going to measure and trim away part of the top of the post here, and the measuring point is going to be back to the hook point. Okay. I hate when we have one of those little ones that doesn't want to cooperate. Just dismiss him. All right, now I like to put just a little bit of Zap-A-Gap or super glue on those post wraps, just to make it a little bit more durable. And then we're going to go ahead and run our thread back to the point where the post ended. And now I'm going to add my trailing shuck, which in this case I'm using Zelon in brown, and I'm using the whole piece. I'm not dividing it up because this is a beefy offering. We're going to go ahead and secure that with a pinch wrap and run it down just about to where the barb is, and that's why I left the barb on, so you could see that. You can certainly snap that barb off if you'd like. Okay, and now I'm going to trim this away about 2 hook gaps in length. Again, this is a big beefy insect. Now for the abdomen, I'm using mink that I got and made myself into a dubbing. You can use any brown, brown, tan, fawn colored dubbing that you like, and I'm taking it off in little tiny wisps, just little bit at a time, and spinning it on the thread. It's always easier, as we've talked about so many times before, it's always easier to put more on than it is to take away. So I've got myself about a 3.5, 4-inch noodle there, and we're going to do that to start. And we got a little bit of mayhem going on up here. So let's get that out of the way. And start to wrap up the hook shank. And you're going to see some guard hairs that are going to be sticking out there. We're going to come back and trim those out later. I don't get too concerned about that. Because this, as I said, this is a big, meaty, beefy looking insect. So we don't really mind that. Okay, that should be about right. There we go. And now I'm going to come in and tidy things up a little bit and get rid of some of those unattractive things that aren't cooperating. That's what your scissors are for, after all. Okay. Now we're going to attach our hackle. And you can use whatever you like here. I've got a really nice looking Cree saddle that I got from Evan Brent over there at Sidling Hill, making some really good stuff. You could use grizzly, you could use a combination of brown and grizzly, whichever works for you. And what I've done is I've got the thread here under the hook, and I'm laying the stem of the hackle right up against the intersection of the post and the hook, and I'm going to come in and capture it just like that. That works for me. And now I want to put the dull or concave side of the hackle up against the post and wrap up and capture that in there. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Now for the thorax, I like a little bit of sparkle in my thorax. I'm using SLF prism dubbing in a color called Hare's Ear. And we're going to go ahead and spin that on to the thread. The Hare's Ear, this SLF dubbing, it can be a little tricky sometimes, but because it's very coarse, so you have to get it on there good. And now I'm going to go ahead and wrap in front and then in back, and I want just a little bit more there. I want that to be a little bit more of a pronounced thorax than what we have going right now. Okay. Now we're going front again, and then in back. Now we're digging where there's taters. Okay. And now, last step is to wrap that hackle. And I'm going to come in and grab it. You can use rotary hackle pliers if you like, but I find I have a little bit more control. Things sticking out there. If I do it with my fingers like this. And I'm just going to wrap around and put each wrap underneath the previous one, all the way down to the base of the post. Come in and trap it. Take those 2 wraps to trap it right in place, just like that there. And now we will come in with the whip finish tool. And I'm going to whip right on the post. And one more just for good measure. And there we have it. And if there's any wayward stuff sticking out that you don't like, just come in and get it now. I can see it on the camera, but I can't find it in real life. There we go. All right, and there is your March Brown parachute emerger. Tie them up. They'll be on the water pretty soon. We'll see you again soon. I bid you peace.